gotten a houseplant that no matter what you did, you could not keep this plant alive. It didn't matter how much sunlight you gave this plant, how much you moved it around to change its location, to see where it would get more comfortable with more light, with less light, with growing lights, how much water you poured into this plant or perhaps forgot to pour into this plant, how much fertilizer you put into this plant's pot, or the humidifiers that you got for this plant, or maybe you even tried speaking in a loving and positive way to this plant. Baby, I love you so much. If only you would just grow the way that I want you to grow. I love you so much, baby. Won't you just please come back to life? If only you knew the depth of my love for you, the stars and the moon and the whole cosmos itself could not hold the depth of my love for you. And no matter what, nothing could make this plant survive your environment. It's like the more love and energy you poured into this plant, the more it was determined to die on you and to get sadder and more wilted and just slowly suck the life out of your soul until finally it dies. Morbid analogy, I know. And this is what is happening to your soul when you continue to put yourself in situations and around people that are no longer in alignment with you. How are you feeling today, beautiful people? I hope you guys are feeling phenomenal. My name is Grace and I am a divine feminine relationship coach, tarot reader, and energy healer. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is all about how to know when something is no longer in alignment with you. And I have 7 tips from the universe for you that show you when it is simply just not working out anymore. So if you want to know whether or not this certain situation or person is no longer in alignment with you and where your life is headed, then stay tuned because I've got some goodies coming up for you. The first sign to know when something is no longer in alignment with you is that your body will send you important messages in order to try and alert you to the fact that, hey, I'm really not digging this anymore. Now, whether or not we pay attention to these messages is another story entirely. Your body will send you these messages trying to get your attention through physical discomfort and dis-ease. So for a lot of us, this can look like physical pains. Maybe you're getting lower back pain or headaches. Maybe your immune system is really tanking and you're getting sick more often because the stress levels are raising your cortisol, which weakens our immune system. Maybe you are having digestive upset and no matter what you do, you can't figure out how to solve this problem within you. Or perhaps you find that your anxiety, your depression is starting to become exacerbated by this situation that you are in. Pay attention to where in your body you are feeling the discomfort and feeling this dis-ease, because where in your body this is occurring will alert you to what chakra systems are being affected here. And if you're not familiar with chakra systems, that's okay. These are the 7 major energy centers in the body that rule different parts of our body and our energetic systems. Now, why does this happen? Why does our body tend to send us messages? Because our body wisdom is something that we kind of have dissociated from as a species. However, body wisdom is so powerful that your body will be able to sense sometimes before your mind and heart can when something is no longer working for you. So it's going to create this friction and this stress within your physical vessel. And your body is trying desperately to alert you of this and to get you to pay attention. Now, I have an example of this from my personal life. When I was in a very unhealthy relationship situation many years ago, along my earlier journey, my body was trying to alert me to the fact that my partner at the time was not for me. And you know how my body did this? By giving me recurrent and frequent, really hellish UTIs. And guess what? It sucked. However, my stubborn ass was not willing to call it in on the relationship. I did not want to throw in that white flag. I was determined to stick it out for as long as humanly possible. However, my body was trying desperately to show me the signs that this was no longer jiving well with me. It was no longer in alignment, and it was severely impacting my sacral chakra, which is the emotional center of the body, the sexual center, and the relationship center. By showing me all this pain and discomfort, it was trying to tell me that things were out of whack here, that something just wasn't quite right. And it took me a little while to recognize this before finally paying attention to the messages that my body was trying to send me. So if you are feeling like maybe your body's trying to alert you of something, maybe you're getting super frequent headaches, maybe you're feeling super exhausted and run down all the time, particularly when you are in this situation, then perhaps it is a sign that you are no longer living in alignment with yourself, my friend. The second sign that something is no longer working for you is that the universe is continuously sending you messages about this situation, encouraging you to leave the situation. Now, this comes in two forms, right? It comes in a positive form and it comes in a negative reinforcement form. So the positive form is that it keeps bringing new opportunities to light. It keeps showing you things that you could be doing instead. So maybe the situation that you're trying to leave is a job situation, and the universe is throwing you all these different job possibilities that keep entering into your awareness. However, if we are not tuned in to the frequency of the divine, of source, of the universe, of God, whatever we choose to call it, then chances are we're not very aware of what the universe is trying to tell us. So this is when the universe decides to send in the negative reinforcement. And this comes in the form of roadblocks and obstacles. Because you see, we as humans tend to be a rather stubborn species, and sometimes we need a little knock on the head to kind of jolt some sense into us so that we can finally get the message. And sometimes this comes in the form of roadblocks, and we find that no matter how much we try to leap over this hurdle, to go under the hurdle, to go around it, we just keep running into the same wall again and again and again. I remember back along my earlier journey when I was in school and I was not aligned with what it was that I was studying. I was not aligned in pretty much any part of my life, and the universe was trying desperately to send me signs and be like, hey, grab my attention, hey, shake me up a little bit, this is not working for you. And the way that the universe sent me this negative reinforcement after positive reinforcement, I am sure that I just simply was not attuned enough to receive, was car problems. Whenever I would be trying to get to school or trying to make it to an exam, that's when my car would break down. That is when my battery would randomly die, or it would just suddenly not start, or something weird would happen like that. Or I would get into a fender bender. And yes, we could chalk this up to coincidence. We could chalk this up to all these things. However, I don't believe in accidents, because Source is an infinitely intelligent, creative, conscious energy. And a force as powerful as that simply does not make mistakes. Perhaps the situation that you are unsure about is a relationship situation, be it familial, platonic, or romantic. And no matter what it is that you do, the situation keeps getting worse and worse and worse. It almost feels like the universe is trying desperately to shake you out of this misalignment by slapping you upside the head and saying, hey, look at this, look at what's going on here. Does it feel good for you? And if not, what are you doing, baby? The third sign that something is no longer in alignment with you is that you start having stress and anxiety dreams about it. When these dreams come up for us, it often looks like you are in this situation and no matter what you do, it's not working. You can't find the place that you're trying to find in the dream. You get a little lost, or if this is a relationship context, then you keep getting into arguments with this person, or you dream of the worst things happening in this situation. Now, we can look at this a few different ways. The first is from the scientific level. So if we look at it from the level of the subconscious mind, it is our subconscious that is trying to alert us that, hey, here are my reservations about this situation. Can you please pay attention now that you're asleep? Because you certainly aren't paying attention when you're awake, so I gotta send you these messages somehow. The second way that we can interpret these dreams is they are messages from your higher self, trying to show you the true underlying vibrational situation of your current context. And the third way that we can look at these dreams is that it is an overflow of our emotional situation that is now permeating into our rest state. And the anxiety, the fear, all the stuff that we suppress in our conscious state when we're awake in our day-to-day are now coming to the surface because we've kind of squashed it, right? As we tend to do sometimes. But now in our sleep, all these emotions get to run rampant, and guess what the purpose of these emotions are? They are important messengers and indicators as to what is going on in our environmental context. It is basically our body's form of feedback to how we truly feel about the situation that shows us what changes and alterations need to be made. The fourth sign that something is no longer in alignment with you is that you will have very shallow breathing around this situation or these people in your lives. So if you are not typically very mindful of your breath, start tuning in throughout your day. Do a little breath check with yourself. Just simply notice without judgment what's going on there. Are you breathing very shallowly, kind of into this upper lung area? Or are you able to take deep cleansing breaths that come all the way down to your belly? If you notice that your breathing is very shallow, very erratic, and doesn't really have any kind of stable, relaxed pattern, then it is a sign that this situation is not really working for you because it is bringing your body into this state of overdrive and reaching the point of emotional stress and overwhelm, if it hasn't already reached it already. A lot of the times when our heart is actually close to the situation and we're not yet aware of it, our breathing can be the first thing to become impacted by this, because when we are in situations that are not serving us, the heart wisdom knows this. So the heart will begin to close and to tighten down. And when this happens, the heart chakra is also responsible for the lungs and the circulatory system. So our breathing is going to be affected because we don't feel quite safe in the situation. We feel very closed off and we feel like our heart is not fully in it. So take a moment to tune in throughout the day to really pay attention and be aware of what is going on with the breath, because this is such an important indicator. The fifth sign that the situation is no longer working out for you is that your vibration in this situation is very low. So it will seem like when you are in the context of this situation that is causing you this internal turmoil, that you are unable to reach and maintain those higher frequencies of your energetic vibration. So this means love, this means oneness and unity consciousness, joy, playfulness. All of these things will be very difficult, if at all possible, to access in these situations where you are not in alignment with the situation anymore. Instead, what happens is that your frequency continues to drop lower and lower and lower. So we are feeling an abundance of fear. We are feeling a lot of anger. We are feeling a lot of shame and guilt and frustration. Now, I also want to clarify that these emotions in and of themselves are not inherently negative. They are indicators. They are simply messengers that are giving you information based on the input that you are receiving from your surrounding environment or from your internal state. However, when we become stuck in these lower vibrational energies, our health is declining. And when I say health, I mean your physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual health. When you find yourself slipping into these lower vibrational states of anxiety, of powerlessness, of fear, of frustration, this is an indicator that you are not able to access these higher vibrations because this situation is so far out of what is good for you that your whole energetic being is beginning to sink. And what eventually starts to happen is that even when you're not in the situation, it is becoming increasingly more challenging for you to remain present outside of the situation and to elevate your frequency even when you are not in these situations. So we can find ourselves falling into these states of depression. We can find ourselves really being consistently anxious throughout our days, even if these are days where we are removed from the situation. On some days, we might be able to elevate our frequency back to our natural state of love and joy and oneness. However, the longer we remain in these situations, the harder and harder it is for us to recalibrate our energy back into those higher frequencies. When we find that our vibration is low enough for a consistent amount of time, what starts happening is that we slip into the state of powerlessness. And it is here that we find ourselves becoming really entrenched in the victim mindset. Now, this mindset is easy to identify because it comes with this paranoia state instead of pronoia. So paranoia is all about, why is this happening to me? Everything's happening to me because I am the victim in my life. I am not the empowered driver of my life's vehicle. Pronoia, however, is the concept that everything is happening for me, for my highest growth, for my highest benefit. So if you have found that you are constantly being stuck in the victim mentality when you are in these certain situations, chances are it's not working out for you, baby. And the sixth sign that I have for you guys today is that it just isn't working. No matter what you do, like the plant that we talked about before, you can get all the fertilizers, you can get all the fancy grow lights, you can get the humidifier, you can water it, you can change its location, you can give it more light, you can give it all the love, and it still will not grow. And instead, it is doing the opposite and dying on you. This is what happens to your soul when you stay in these situations, and your light becomes smaller and dimmer and dimmer. So it seems like no matter how much effort, no matter how much heart you are putting into this situation, that it just isn't happening for you. That instead of getting better and improving, because we expect the amount of effort that we put in to match the results, it seems like all you are getting is negative reinforcement. Now, when I say negative reinforcement, I don't mean that this feedback is bad. What I mean by that is that it is discouraging you from being in this situation any longer. And all feedback, whether it's negative or positive, is actually beneficial for us because it shows us where we are at and gives us a way to gauge and measure what it is that we are doing in life. So it doesn't matter how much you try, how much time, energy, and heart and effort that you are putting into this situation, it just isn't playing out the way that you desire. Which leads us to our seventh sign that things are no longer in alignment for you, is that somewhere deep, deep inside, your intuition knows that this is not for you. Chances are, if you are watching this video, then you already have that inkling inside of you that, maybe this isn't for me. When that little voice speaks up, pay attention. If you are not familiar with really tuning into your intuition and trusting what that little voice has to say, an easy way that you can discern that is to identify whether or not this voice is speaking from a place of love or from a place of fear. Now, whenever you hear those voices speaking to you, take a moment to really quiet your mind and observe these voices. And when you do this, make sure you are identifying where this voice is coming from. Is it coming from the fear that the ego tends to operate on, or is it coming from a space of love from your higher self, from your heart and from your soul. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling trapped in your current situation, know that you are not powerless. At any point in time, you can decide to break yourself out of this situation, because we all have the power of choice. It is about taking back that power for ourselves and recognizing when something is meant for you and when it is no longer meant for you, because it has served its purpose and it is time to move on. I believe in you. You can do it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comment section below what situation you are currently dealing with and which of these signs are applying to you. If this resonated, don't hesitate to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button for more videos on how to become your highest self. If you would like to connect with me for a coaching session or a tarot reading, you can find me on Instagram at LotusCoaching13. I would love to connect with you. Have a magical rest of your day.